Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pick Me Up podcast. We are brewing a better lifestyle, one podcast at a time, and I'm your host, Eva Curie. Head to the Instagram at the Pick Me Up Pod for some extras, and feel free to subscribe and listen to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Today, we are chatting with a fabulous lady from Toronto, Canada, who I believe everyone needs to listen to and learn from. She is a certified personal accountant and a JRNI certified coach who helps both companies and individuals alike find their financial freedom and fierceness. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michelle Robertson. It's so nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much. What an introduction. Yeah, it's so nice to meet you too and to be here for your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you got to start with a coffee question because that's what I do. What is your go-to coffee order or go-to morning pick-me-up?
Well, I would say at home, it's French press. And as you know, I'm seconding right now in Rwanda, and there is a beautiful coffee place called Question Coffee here. And they basically, I think it's actually run by Canadians, and they employ 30,000 female farmers that basically make the beans. So to me,
Love
it's
that.
just really feel good coffee. So yeah, that would be my go-to.
I love that. That is absolutely awesome. Yeah, there's been a pretty large spike I've noticed just like within the coffee industry of not only more sustainably owned brands where it's like fair trade and fair labor, but it's also a lot of like women-owned brands and women-owned and operated brands. So that's really exciting
Yeah.
that we're kind of seeing that uptick in
Yeah.
the coffee industry.
Yeah. And my other favorite would be Kicking Horse in Canada. And that's also female owned. I mean, it's a lot more of an established brand, but yeah, very good coffee.
I've definitely not heard of them. I doubt they're in the United States, but maybe they are and they have like a location or two, but that's awesome. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So let's
Cool.
get into what you do. So what kind of inspired you to get into wealth coaching and helping others being more mindful with their finances?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it informally for years, whether people have invited me, friends and family, or not. I have always shared advice. I've always been really passionate about personal finance. And I just have been curious, I think, with my own financial journey, through my 20s of having credit card debt and all that stuff, and then trying to save for a place and everything. I learned a lot, and I got really curious about that and investing. And so it started that way. And then, in the last 5 years, I've just gotten to a place. I've spent 20 years in supporting organizations, which was great work. But I got to a place where I was just ready to start really connecting more directly with people and just making a more direct impact with individuals. And so that's really, for a long time, I didn't know what that looked like and I didn't know what it was going to be. But that's really what's kind of brought me to doing this work.
Yeah, definitely. And you were mentioning that like directedness. And I had read on your bio that you were or your initial career was very much integrated in kind of like a corporate system and like working your way up a corporate ladder. So you kind of didn't, I want to assume that you didn't see that many direct results with what you're doing. And now that is so much more personal and one-on-one with the training and the mindfulness and the just the work that you're doing. You probably see that more often. And that I can only imagine like how rewarding that is to see that your clients and the individuals you're working with, you see that direct impact and direct results.
Yeah, it is so rewarding. Like where I got to was like, I want to start making people rich, not companies. Even though I've worked in the not-for-profit space, even though I have worked in the not-for-profit space, but, and yeah, I mean, I'm working through the first group of people in my big program, my 10-week program. We're almost at the end, and like seeing people feeling so relaxed and confident about their finances is so rewarding. But through my work, I also end up working with them on other things besides finances, because everything in our lives is all co-joined, right? And so seeing these moments where they have these ahas and these moments of awareness and powerfulness is just so, so awesome. Like it's really what makes my day these days, and just, yeah, connecting with people. And yeah, it's great. It's really great.
That's really wonderful. I kind of want to get into kind of like what was kind of like the turning point in getting into this career? Because when we were initially talking, you talked about how you had dealt with a few hardships in your life and you had endured a lot within like a short span of time, and mentioned that
Mhm.
these kind of experiences helped you launch and self-reflect, self-reflect and launch your business. So what and when was that turning point for you?
I would say the big one was early in 2017. I got divorced. My ex-husband stole my dog, which was my family, our dog, but still like refused, was like, you're not going to have any part of her life anymore. And I lost my job,
God.
all in the span of about 6 months. And honestly, I wouldn't change any of it now. It was absolutely like heartbreaking. The dog
I
mostly.
can't even imagine.
And it sent me on a whole journey of healing, and I took about a year off and I raised my new puppy, and then I knew at that time that I wanted to do something different. I wanted more fluidity in my schedule. I wanted more of my own flexibility. So I started doing part-time CFO work. So working with smaller organizations, kind of like on a, not freelance, but like, 5 hours a month, and then having multiple clients, but it wasn't really sticking for me. So I knew there was something more, but I just wasn't quite in the arena. And
Mhm.
then when I took the last job I've had, I think I'd just been following a lot of different people, and I got my own coach, not for finances, but just my own. I thought she was going to be an executive coach. It was nothing to do with my career and everything to
Interesting.
do with
Okay.
me and my heart and but it was what I needed. And so I convinced them to pay for me to do this coaching certification. I had a large team of 12 or 15 people at that time. So I was like, I have to do professional development anyways. And, these skills can help me support my team. And they did. And then I kind of started slowly. I was doing a little bit of stuff. And then I think, this is going to sound really woo woo, but I think the universe I knew at some point I was going to leave the job, but I was still holding on because I was scared. I was really scared to just be an entrepreneur and leave the safety of a 6-figure salary, steady
Right.
job, all of that stuff. And the universe just had a different plan for me. I was like, nope, you're going to do this now. And I was let go from my job in October.
Mhm.
I'd already come over to Rwanda, and it was just like, it's time. It was partly me, but it was also partly, just me getting the nudge that I needed to take the plunge, I guess, in a
Yeah,
real way, not a like, I'll just maybe do this on the side and see how it goes kind of thing. But yeah, a lot of fear that I had to move past.
yeah, definitely. I can only imagine. I mean, I'm in a fortunate state of my life right now where I'm not like in like dire need of employment because I am still attending university. And
Yeah.
but what I've heard from like conversations with like older individuals who have been employed, or alumni from the school, is that freelancing is such a great opportunity for people to have like exactly what you were talking about, that freedom, and you really could
Mhm.
like have flexibility, and like you can kind of control like where your life goes, what jobs you take on, and who you take on. But that is just something that's so like uncomfortable for certain people because they want the kind of like security and the cushness from a 9 to 5 job or a salary or like compensation that they know that they're going to get. But with freelancing and with creating your own business and launching like your own dreams, it's a scary thing, but like it's so incredibly worth it. And obviously it sounds for you that it was so worth it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I really feel like, they talk about finding what your purpose is on this earth. And,
Yeah.
for so many years, I've been like, God, I don't know what that is for me. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I don't know what my mark is.
Mhm.
And I feel like now I'm in the arena, and this is where I'm supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to help, humanity. So that part's been really amazing. And, obviously I think it's probably been a lot easier for me in the sense that I am, while I left a big salary, like I am financially relatively stable. I'm pretty stable. I have backing. I've been quite, fortunate. I've done pretty well in saving. And so while it still feels really scary to me a lot of days, thinking like, when's the next thing coming in, that kind of thing, I'm really in a good spot from that perspective. But the beautiful thing about becoming an entrepreneur, whether you go all in or you don't, and you just do it on the side, is like all the risk and all the reward, it's all you, right? And you get to like put your spin or build something that is authentically you. And if it's the right thing and it's something that the world needs, then the right people will find it. And that's what I'm really learning as a relatively new entrepreneur, that just use your voice and do what works for you as a money coach, as a wealth coach, and the people that are attracted to that will come. But it's definitely scary. There's no question about it. But well worth it. I have no regrets of getting out of corporate at this stage. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It's been really
Love
fun
to hear that. Yeah, so I'm going to jump ship really quickly, and this is going to be kind of a two-part question. So I want to ask you about like two concepts that you have kind of written like within the bios of your website, and also two concepts you talk about a lot like on your really awesome Instagram presence, by the way. Financial fierceness and being uncomfortable, but like being successfully uncomfortable. So what do those two concepts look like for you, and how do you take those concepts and teach your clients how to grow as like financially free individuals through those?
Okay, so I'll start with the being comfortable, being uncomfortable, because that's kind of what it is. I set my word for 2021 was bravery this year. It was like getting out of my comfort zone. It was doing things that scared the crap out of me. And this where I'm at, and building this business is probably the biggest one. But so it's just, I really, really believe, all of us, our nervous systems, what they try to do is keep us safe. But where the magic happens in our lives is when we do stuff that scares us, and when we do stuff that is uncomfortable. I'm sure the first time you did a podcast, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, right? But like, our nervous systems tell us it's going to be a lot worse than it is. And there's such a connection between excitement and fear. Right. And so I coach people to be financially fierce, which is somewhat related to this, but a lot of people, when they come to me, it's like they've been avoiding their money system or their money situation for a long time, and they're afraid because they're like, I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing, or it's a mess. And so it's really about like, stepping into the fear and the unknown, because beautiful things happen. And that can be like, whether it's in your money story, or that can be, chasing goals in your life. But they can be connected, right? In terms of like, money to me doesn't make you happy, but it gives you a whole heck of a lot of freedom and choice to do the things that are going to make you happy. And so with financial fierceness, for me, that's just, it's empowerment. It's people feeling like their financial landscape is demystified, and that they understand, and they have a system that they really trust, and they feel like they're in control, and they feel like they're on the right path. And so that's what I do over 10 weeks. We build a money system, and then I help them with the investing piece, because that's the biggest black hole I find in personal finances. People are like, they might already be decent savers, but they're like, I don't know what to do. And the financial institutions have made the investing world seem so difficult and complicated. And it really doesn't have to be, but there's so much out there. So that's the journey that we go on in 10 weeks. There's a little bit more to it than that, but those are the big pillars of the 10 weeks is spending time, creating this money system, so that they can see how their money is flowing, and that they've made commitments to their future savings. But then they've got a tool that helps them with seeing what's coming, like either extra expenses or savings. And it just gives people control, and it makes people feel really empowered and like they're working towards whatever their goals are. And a lot of times goals can have a financial implication, but as well as working towards their direct financial goals, right? Whether it's, I want to buy a house in 5 years, I want to start a business, I want to make sure I'm not eating cat food when I'm 65, like all of, or canned beans, whatever. So fierceness for me is just such a powerful word. And I want people, I don't think it's hard, but it does require some attention, right? It requires leaning in, and it requires a little bit of discipline and commitment to it. So does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's kind of initially why I was so attracted to like your like Instagram page and your presence and like your biography when I was like first trying to like see like who you are and what you're like, to like invite you on the podcast, because money is such a like it could be such a freeing thing for people, and it could also be such a scary thing for people, and it could be such a source of stress and fear and like anxiousness for people. And there's no need for that, because like it's at the end of the day it's just money. It's like you had like talked about on your website, money doesn't lead to happiness. Like we've seen the studies, like we know that money does not lead to happiness, but it definitely leads to some sort of freedom and financial freedom. And I think it's so important for people to listen to you and hear about what you have to do and like all the work that you do, because there's no need for that fear. There's no need for that anxiousness if you're smart about it. And if you work with the right people, or you sit your butt down and do some research, you can like overcome those fears and that anxiousness when it revolves around money. But
I think one of the most important things just to add to that is that there's a lot of shame. People feel a lot of shame that they don't know what they're doing. And I just like to remind everyone that like nobody learned about this in school.
Yeah.
Like nobody was taught like, oh, here's how you like go get a mortgage. And here's how you do like, when you grow up and you have a job and all of a sudden you have a salary and you have to manage all your bills. Here's how you do that. Like they don't teach that. I think they're starting to teach it in the educational system. But so like, this is where I just tell people like, let's let the shame go, because you were never taught. So how are you expected to know? So you're here and you're looking at resources that you can find that are out there to help you. And that's wonderful. And so there's no need to have any shame about what you do or don't know when it comes to anything really. But certainly your personal finances. I know there's a lot in there for people.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually currently taking a class called Personal Finance and Wealth Management at my university. And this is the first time I have been exposed to anything regarding mortgage, regarding regarding like having any type of retirement plan, concept of like bonds and investments and anything like that. We don't get taught that. That's not a part of core curriculum, and that's not like a required class in most universities. And so many people go out into the working world like no idea how to budget, no idea what to budget for. Even though it definitely is a statement of priorities, they don't know. And it's so important that they have that knowledge.
Yeah. And it's doubly worse when you have $60,000 or $80,000 of student loan debt too.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? It's tough. But real quickly, because we are kind of running out of time, I want to ask you 2 quick questions. The best advice that you give clients, or your favorite piece of advice to give clients, and what is the best piece of financial or even life advice you have ever received? So kind of going back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you my best piece of financial advice. Start early and be consistent with your saving. That's it. And everyone thinks, oh, but it's only $100. It doesn't matter. I wish that when I was 25, that I had just started putting small, like $100 or more away, and I would be so much better off than I am now, because time and compounding, that money will grow. And so if I could talk to my 25-year-old self or myself in my 20s, I would have been a little more disciplined and consistent with investing, like saving and getting my money into the market. I think that's the most important thing for young people, and paying off debts if you have them. But I think that's the most important one. Yeah. And best life advice. Oh God.
Life advice or financial advice even that you've gotten.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to go with, standing in your truth. I think this is one that I've really had to learn, is not being afraid to use your own voice and to be exactly who you are and to be authentically yourself. And if you do that, I believe that you will attract all of the things that are meant for you, and people. And yeah, I just feel like the world opens up to you when you're authentic and you're brave.
Absolutely.
So that's my advice. Yeah.
I love it. And I think that was a perfect way to kind of round out the show. So that is all the time we have left. But Michelle, thank you so much for coming onto the show and for sharing your incredible wisdom and fierceness with everybody today. And for everyone at home, all of Michelle's links and handles will be in the comment section below on both the podcasting platforms and also on YouTube. So please do yourself a favor and go follow her and go look at her 10-week program as well. You can definitely learn a lot and find your financial fierceness. So looking forward to seeing you all on Monday for another fabulous episode of the Pick Me Up. And I hope you all have a very awesome Thursday.